Omni Sports Breakfast.
Good morning and welcome to Omni Sports Breakfast, your morning show where we talk about what happened overnight, what's happening tomorrow night, and take you through the fun and games of the world of sport. I'm Kevin McCallum. Overnight, the Proteas willed in both Bloemfontein and Paarl. Is Rashford's time at United coming to an end? He seems to think so. Chelsea's Midrijk's name is Mud after he failed a doping test. Springbok prop Stephen Kitsoff has revealed he was 2 millimeters from death after sustaining a neck injury last year. And it's the Ballon d'Or Awards for the dazed and the confused, for the crude, the bad and the ugly. Yes, it's the Mampara of the Year, the awards you've all been waiting for. But first, onto the cricket. Man of the match, Salman Agha, was the star for Pakistan as they took a close 3-wicket win over the Proteas in the first ODI in Paarl last night. Agha picked up career best figures of 4 for 32 as the Proteas scored just 233 for 9 batting first. He scored a unbeaten 82 of 90 balls to make sure he was man of the match. Henrik Klaasen top scored for the Proteas with 86 of 97 balls, but no other South African scored more than 36. There are another 2 ODIs to go. South Africa fell to their lowest ever test match total when they were knocked over for a poor 64 and 19.4 overs in the second innings against England, as England won the one-off test by 286 runs over a day. Over a day remaining in Bloemfontein yesterday. It was England's first test victory in 10 years. Left-arm spinner Nkululeko Mlaba was the headline performer for the home team, becoming the first South African to claim 10 wickets in a test match with match figures of 46 overs, 6 wickets and 157 runs. So she took 4 for 90 in the first innings and 6 for 67 in the second. Chelsea winner McCallum says he is in complete shock after testing positive for a banned substance. The club confirmed on Tuesday they've been contacted by the Football Association after an adverse finding and a routine urine test provided by the Ukraine international. The £89 million player has been provisionally suspended by FA, and he denies knowing that it was a banned substance, that he'd used one. Chelsea said they will work to establish what caused the failed test. He said, "This is coming as a complete shock. I've never knowingly used any banned substances or broken any rules. I'm working closely with my team to investigate this. I know that I've done nothing wrong, and hopefully I will be back on the pitch very soon." And over to some other interesting news from Springbok prop Stephen Kitsoff. And it's hardly interesting. It's sad and a warning for all Springbok props, all props around the world. Springbok prop Stephen Kitsoff has revealed he was 2 millimeters from death. Speaking to the Report newspaper, the double Rugby World Cup winner said the neck injury he suffered in the Western Province Griquas match in September could have ended his life. It was just another scrum. Then he heard 3 cracking noises, pop, pop, pop. Kitsoff told Report, "I kept playing thinking it was a pulled muscle, but now I know. I was 2 millimeters away from catastrophe, from death. The first thing the specialist said to me, 'Listen, you're lucky we didn't bury you in a week because the vertebra that shifted is so close to my brain canal. Without the operation, I'd never play rugby again.'" And he was the guest of honor at Paarl yesterday before the ODI. He was the one bringing the trophy onto the field. Marcus Rashford's 20 years at Manchester United looks set to come to an end after the striker told the journalists he was ready for a new challenge. And the next steps after he was dropped by Man United for this Man City match on Sunday. United are believed to be open to selling the 27-year-old who has struggled for form over the past 2 seasons. Rashford's £365,000 a week wages could make it difficult for him to find a club. He said he was speaking to Henry Winter, the journalist, very famous football writer, said, "If I know that a situation is already bad, I'm not going to make it worse. I've seen how other players have left in the past, and I don't want to be that person. When I leave, I'll make a statement, and it will be from me." Rashford and United, not a great thing. That's going to be the culture change they want to have at Manchester United. But enough of the woes of Rashford, and on to the woes of the Mamparas of the Year. Who has messed up the most this year? Who has made the biggest fools of themselves? Who is the person, the club, the organisation that has plumbed to the depths to be named the biggest loser of the year? And at number 10, we have Harry Kane and a statue. So Harry Kane had a statue made 5 years ago, and the statue has been in storage. And there are claims that it doesn't quite look like him, but it was unveiled a couple of months ago. The England and Bayern Munich forward said he was happy with it. He said it was lovely. It was put up in his borough of Waltham Forest, where he was born and learned how to play football as a kid. It cost the council £7,200, but they didn't know where to put it. They tried to put it near a railway station, but the local railway operator thought it might distract the drivers because it's so ugly. It looks nothing like him. And after seeing images, people are coming up with their own suggestions as where they could put it, and not all of those people are Arsenal fans. In social media, one person said, it's the stuff of nightmares. Looks nothing like him, said another. It's more desperate damn than Roy of the Rovers, said the art historian Richard Morris. It's not just that it's bad, and it's not the worst one ever. The Sun called it fugly, but the Ronaldo's one, which was unveiled at the Madeira airport in 2017, had to be taken down and changed. It was that bad. So well done for Harry Kane, first out of the blocks. At number 9, we have Herbert Mensah, the president of Rugby Africa. Earlier this year, there was a vote to elect a new chairman of World Rugby, used to be called the International Rugby Board. Australian's Brett Robinson, a former Wallaby, was voted in as the new chair of World Rugby. He beat former France 8-man Abdel Benazi 27-25 in the second round of voting. He had been nominated by France and seconded by South Africa, and he was seen as a strong favourite, a man who could shake up the old boys club of World Rugby. But before the vote, Rugby Africa President Mensah said he'd probably vote for the Moroccan-born Benazi. And Benazi played one game for Morocco. And this is what he said before. I think that the executive board needs a different perspective on how it looks at its business. It cannot be business as usual. The Times of London wrote that Rugby Africa voted for Robinson after Benazi had believed he had their support. Those 2 votes, and the Rugby Africa got 2 votes, swung the result. Benazi was then voted onto the Rugby executive. South Africa had seconded him, and obviously no doubt had voted for him. Rugby Africa's headquarters are based in the Saru's headquarters down in Durbanville, at Belleville, wherever around about there, somewhere in Cape Town. The Times wrote this: Rugby Africa's delegate Herbert Mensah was voted onto the new World Rugby Executive Board, which has 6 members, and was seen taking selfies with Robinson after he was elected, reported the Times. Robinson's election has delighted the RFU, which seconded his nomination. It now has huge power and influence on the direction of the game, with its delegation, Jonathan Webb, installed as World Rugby's vice chairman. Webb is in pole position to be chairman after Robinson. Selfies. 2 votes for selfies and a seat on the board. As Argentinian legend Augustus Pichot said, and he was blunt, it's a British game, an English win. World Rugby's executive board comprises Bart Campbell of New Zealand, SA's Mark Alexander, Ireland's Sue Carty, Webb, Sally Dennis of Canada, and Mensah. The more things change at rugby, the more they sadly stay the same. Welcome to the Old Boys Club, Herbert. And from rugby, we go to horse and the equestrian sections of the world. Charlotte Dujardin, I can never say the French names properly. She's the 3-time Olympic dressage gold medalist, and she has been banned for a year and fined 10,000 Swiss francs this week for excessively whipping a horse. Video footage emerged in July, just days before the start of the Paris 2024 Olympics, of the 39-year-old repeatedly striking the horse with a long whip around its legs. Dujardin's international ban, handed out by the FEI, the World Governing Board, is backdated to the start of her provisional suspension. She was eligible to compete again from July 2025. She's had 6 Olympic medals, 3 gold, a silver and 2 bronze, and she's the joint second highest of any British female Olympian, along former track cyclist Dame Laura Kenny. She was suspended on 23rd July for engaging in contact contrary to the principles of horse welfare. And I do encourage you to go look at the video. The video showed her excessively whipping a horse as it ran around and she was training it. While the case is regrettable and it put the sport in a bad light for all the wrong reasons, it did bring out the seedy side of horse training. And for me, it just it stuck deep in the throat. The fact that she was taken out of the Olympics and was not allowed to compete was a strong message for animal cruelty and for anti-animal cruelty. Right, and we're going to at number 7, and yep, he had to get there. He won the World FIFA Player of the Year last night. Well done, but what did he not win? The Ballon d'Or. And isn't modern football just lovely? And we've got super subs, super agents, super Sundays, super computers, and now, thanks to Vinicius and Real Madrid, we have the super sulk. Real Madrid are a club that, they break ground, and they have now broken ground with the biggest sulk scene ever. I mean, they boycotted the Ballon d'Or ceremony, which is perhaps the way things are going to go in the future. The Ballon d'Or was won by Manchester City's Rodri. He was the only second player born in Spain to win it, and the first true number 6 to win it. Madrid had planned a 5-hour broadcast on the TV channel, and they were actually going to send 50 people to the big party in Paris. And on the night, they sent nobody. Zilch, bugger all. And all Madrid did was just sit at home and not watch it on TV and pretend it didn't happen. But yet they won 3 big awards. They were Team of the Year. Carlo Ancelotti was Coach of the Year, and Kylian Mbappe shared the Gerd Muller Trophy with Harry Kane for his goal-scoring exploits. Harry Kane was there, no doubt, without his statue. But there's nobody from the club there to collect or even acknowledge these awards. No, Vinicius is actually, he's a stunning player. He's great. I do love watching him play. But the way Madrid are behaving, and this comes from The Guardian, you would swear he's the love child of Diego Maradona and Roy Race, who notched 812 goals last season. So let's look at his numbers for last season, 2023-24. He was the joint eighth top scorer in the La Liga, behind some Norwegian guy who couldn't play for Crystal Palace a few years ago. He scored in the Champions League. He scored 6 goals, which is just one more than a Stoke reject, Joselu, who played 628 minutes fewer than him. At the Copa America, he scored twice in the group stages, then got himself suspended. I missed the quarterfinal defeat to Uruguay. So apart from the stats, he had a great season, but he could have won it. But then so could have Jude Bellingham, who finished in third place behind him. And I believe Jude Bellingham wasn't particularly happy. It was, Madrid issued this statement on this, and it's, because I think Madrid are a bit worried that Lamine Yamal is going to win the next 23 Ballons d'Or in a row. Now, the kid's only 17 years old, and he's going to be outstanding. And Madrid said, if the award criteria doesn't give it to Vinicius as the winner, then those same criteria should point to Carvajal as the winner, said Madrid. They didn't actually realize that, that about 28,000 people voted for this. They say they don't respect it. Real Madrid will not go back to Ballon d'Or as they believe they have not been respected. Right, that's number 10 to 7. We're going to do number 6 to 1. And if you want to comment on this, please go to the YouTube channel or across social media. We're live on TikTok as well. And just, who is your Mamparas of the Year? And who do you think is going to be number 6, number 7, number 5, number 4, number 3, number 2, and number 1? Before we go to the break, perhaps Vinicius Jr., and I'm taking a leaf out of MK's book here, perhaps Vinicius Jr. should know this. Winning begins with what you eat. Boost your energy with AGT Foods, range of nutritious grains and legumes. Play better, live healthier. Brought to you by AGT Foods Africa. Good food, good health, good life. Strength starts with smart choices. Add AGT Foods barley and split peas to your diet for essential nutrients that support muscle recovery. Train hard, recover harder. Brought to you by AGT Foods Africa. Good food, good health, good life.
Omni Sports Breakfast.
Back to Mampara of the Year. We've already had 10 to 6 or 7. Sorry. So Harry Kane's up there, and so is Vinicius Jr. And now we're going to move into the real meat of it. Here's number 6. His name is Dana White. Earlier this year, after Dricus du Plessis had won the world title, he said he wanted to bring a fight to Africa. This is what he said.
African, I know UFC Africa is something you've wanted to do forever. Could he be the guy that takes you there?
Absolutely, positively can be the guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Dricus wins tonight, wins the title, and I've been talking about Africa, and, maybe we start looking at South Africa and start looking at arenas and possibly doing a fight down there this year.
And then what did he do? So Dricus is now going to be defending his title against the man he took it from originally, the first time, America's Sean Strickland, and he'll be fighting at the UFC 312 in Australia on the 9th of February 2025. So they announced this during the Saturday broadcast of UFC 310, and there was no sense from Dana that he was going to change his mind about the South African South Africa hosting one. And this is what he said, but he actually kept on talking about it. And this is what he said in a little bit in August, I think, was this year.
Dricus du Plessis, are you planning on keeping him on the sidelines and waiting for South Africa to kind of figure out, or are you going to try and fight him sooner than I guess South Africa?
Who are you talking about? Dricus?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'd like to fight him in South Africa.
And he didn't. Gayton McKenzie was trying, the sports minister said, he said it's on the horizon for South Africa, but how close that horizon remains to be seen. There was a proposal for the City of Cape Town stadium to have a 30 million rand roof put over it, but that idea never saw the day. And this is what Dana then, after saying he was going to bring it to Africa, this is what he said.
You had said that Dricus was going to do his next defense in South Africa. Now his coaches are saying he's going to fight in Sydney.
Yeah.
So can you kind of clarify that?
Yeah, so you know how bad I want this. I've been trying to get this thing done. The arena situation there is tough. The place that we would have to do it at is outdoors. And you know how I feel about that. And so I've been trying to figure out the weather. One of the big things that I'm hearing out there is wind is a big problem. And we've done it a couple times, but anything that can affect the outcome of the fight makes me not even want to try. So, and it's anything from wind, rain, bugs, too much humidity. A lot of things can interfere with the fight.
And would Strickland still be the guy you had committed to Strickland previously?
Yes.
Wind, rain, and bugs. These are guys that beat the tar out of each other in a little ring, the octagon, and they full of blood. They break bones. They choke each other. But hey, wind, bugs, and maybe rain. Shame. At number 5, and this is a bit of a personal one. There's an English rugby journalist called Stephen Jones, and he does not like Rassie Erasmus at all. And he is now being followed by a guy called Oliver Brown, who's the chief sports writer of The Telegraph. So Erasmus has now been called the incorrigible head coach, the pantomime villain. The Springboks must accept they will never be universally loved. Where does this come from? Well, apparently because the Springboks dared to invite these British journalists over to Jersey for the pre-autumn training camp. And it was a charm offensive by Rassie Erasmus. And there was a lot of skepticism from the journalists who made the trip. The Guardian said South Africa are mounting a charm offensive this autumn. Why the Erasmus wants the Springbok bullies to be loved after years of playing victim was the headline in the Times. South Africa only have themselves to blame for how they're perceived around the rugby world, wrote Alex Lowe in the Times. They're generally a great team, innovative, double world champions with a story of diversity that is genuinely inspiring. But those emotive stories have existed under a cloud of toxicity and suspicion. This is the same, back to Brian. I mean, this is the same narrative that just keeps going on and on and on. And it is exhausting because South Africa done to suffer. So that's number 5, Stephen Jones. At number 4, and he is the greatest villain of world football, Giannini Infantino. He manangled and finangled the world, the cup, a draw. We'll never know. And this is how he did it.
Are you ready? Then we can start with the first vote by acclamation. I would therefore invite the Congress to confirm their support of the procedure by joining me in acclamation, ensuring that your screens are on and everything clear for us to see here. So.
Just an embarrassment. Say, look, he wanted acclamation. That's the way he was voted in again as president. But basically, acclamation means he's getting all the delegates to clap and raise their hands so they can see him and they can see who's clapping the most. And then he came up with the bombshell. And we all knew Saudi Arabia were going to win the World Cup. But the fact that they did, and the way it was announced, he actually pulled out a card in case no one was guessing.
And last but not least, it is a great pleasure that I can confirm that the host of the FIFA World Cup 2034 will be Saudi Arabia. Mabruk. Mabruk to our friends in Riyadh.
Yeah, you have to say that Saudi and FIFA are probably a perfect fit at the moment. Saudi has a mostly supine population and FIFA has subservient membership, where human rights, right and wrong, is up for sale. And why? This is how. Why is it important that we hold Saudi Arabia to account? Why is it important that we hold their human rights to account? And this is one of the reasons why.
Why is Saudi Arabia sports washing important?
And the Saudi Grand Prix is gone!
Well, for me, it's a pleasure to be here.
Right now, Salma Shahab, PhD student and mother of two, is serving 27 years in prison for social media posts supporting women's rights. Hamad Al-Ghamdi, a retired school teacher, is sentenced to death for posts criticizing authorities on social media accounts with just 10 followers. And there are many cases like these that Amnesty International is documenting and campaigning on every day. All the while, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is spending billions of dollars to bring the best footballers to the kingdom, sign deals with famous tennis players, and clean up Saudi Arabia's reputation for repression. The success of this sports washing emboldens Saudi authorities to continue their terrible violations against people like Salma Shahab and Hamad Al-Ghamdi. And that's why it's up to us to stand up to Saudi Arabia's formidable PR machine, speak out against sports washing, and demand freedom for all the people imprisoned for expressing themselves.
So the media and the fans are standing up against Saudi Arabia. FIFA and the delegates aren't. The media have actually reported on this quite harshly, calling it a sham, a disgrace, disgusting. And this is how the world's media reported on it.
I'll start with the front page of Arab News, which is a Saudi royal family-owned paper. Unsurprisingly, they're celebrating the news on their front page this morning. Very much not the case everywhere. I'll bring you this Guardian opinion piece this morning. A vote without a vote, they call it. The Saudi World Cup is an act of violence and disdain, referencing the fact that Saudis were the only ones who actually formally submitted a bid, and yesterday was just a formality. As the bids were read out, delegates from 200 countries applauded over Zoom, which this piece calls an utterly pathetic spectacle. If not the most nauseating sports stage show of all time, then certainly the most nauseating yet. With this, football, they say, is showing a total disdain for governance, democracy, care, love, hope, and good sense. Reprieve describes Saudi as one of the world's most brutal authoritarian regimes. People will die, Amnesty have said, and people have already died. 21,000 migrant worker deaths since 2016. The Telegraph carry this message on their sports page this morning. Keep LGBT fans safe. England's Football Association has backed the Saudi bid, but demanded that LGBT fans are safe in the country and won't be arrested. Homosexuality, of course, is a crime in Saudi Arabia. The FA say they have received those assurances. I'll finish with The Times, pointing out that the FA pontificates on rainbow armbands, but has done nothing to stop FIFA making the despicable, stomach-turning decision to order 2034 tournament to Saudi Arabia. Also critical of the fact that the tournament will have to be played in the winter, like in Qatar, but with restrictions caused by the Olympic Winter Games and Ramadan. The tournament will have to be squeezed into January 2034, or even maybe January 2035.
Yeah, that's how the media reports on it. David Coote, number 3. We go into the top 3. David Coote, the referee. He's now been suspended after his rant against Jurgen Klopp, where he called him the German C word and talked about Scousers. And remember, this is the video.
What did you think of the Liverpool game earlier when you were fourth official?
Liverpool.
What do you think of Jurgen Klopp?
Absolutely.
What would you say? Why would you say that Jurgen Klopp was?
Aside from having a right pop at me when I refed them against Burnley in lockdown, then he accused me of lying, and then just had a right pop at me.
Well, congratulations on the top 3, David Coote. At number 2, and very little surprise here, we have a certain Danny O'Don.
South African Football Association President Danny Jordan and two co-accused have been granted 20,000 rand bail each by the Specialised Commercial Crimes Court sitting in the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court on Johannesburg's East Rand. Now, Jordan, who's the SAFA, along with the SAFA CFO and businessman, were arrested yesterday, and they're facing charges of fraud and theft amounting to 1.3 million rand. And it's alleged that between 2014 and 2018, Jordan used the organization's resources for personal gain. Now, this included hiring a private security company for his personal protection and a public relations company. This is said to have happened without the authorization from the SAFA board. Now, former NEC member...
So Danny Jordan, congratulations on the top two. And yet, despite all that, he is not number one. A quick countdown. Number 10, we had Harry Kane and his statue. Herbert Manser, the president of Rugby Africa, at number 9. Number 8, Charlotte Dujardin, at the equestrian rider. At number 7, Vinicius Jr. for his sulk at the Ballon d'Or. Dana White from the UFC for not bringing the world title fight to South Africa. English rugby journalist Stephen Jones and his ilk. At number 4, Giannini Infantino. At number 3, David Coote. Number 2, Durdan. And the winner, by a long distance, is Sean Marchese. Mama Marchese and Royal FM. She was raided by SARS with this last month. A multitude of police officers. She owes them apparently 40 million rand in past taxes. Royal FM apparently has been running by like a spaza shop. She still hasn't played a former Serbian player. The 15 million rand she owes him. So congratulations, Mama Marchese. You are Omnisport Breakfast 2024 Mampara of the Year. Well, that's the show for today. I hope if you agree or disagree, please comment on the YouTube channel. We'll speak to you tomorrow morning on Omni Sports Breakfast.
Omni Sports Breakfast.